Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So we are on verse 28 today of chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita. The Vibhuti Yoga is going on. Krishna Bhagavan is telling all different Vibhutis. So let's see what we are going to do today. All the different Vibhutis of 28. Ayudhanamaham Vajram Dhenunam Kamadhuk Prajanaschasmi Kandarpaha Sarpanam Vasukihi. Ayudhanam, among the weapons. So since Krishna Bhagavan is talking to Arjun, he understands the language of weapon very well because he's a soldier. Among the weapons, Aham I Vajram, the thunderbolt. And we will see a lot more detail about thunderbolt symbolism and all that. This is Indra's weapon. Dhenu Nam, among cows, Asmi I am Kamadhuk, Kamdhenu. We know it more as a Kamdhenu. It's the same thing, Kamadhuk. Prajanaha, the progenitor. The reproduction. Cha is an Asmi, I am Kandarpaha. Kandarpaha may or may not know, but everybody knows Kamdev, god of love. Sarpanam, among serpents, Asmi, I am Vasuki. So we heard about this snake before. He's the one used in the churning of the ocean and also belongs to Shiva. Shiva let them borrow his snake, his ornament. So let's see the symbolism and all that and what it means. So among weapons, I am Vajra. And this is mentioned in many different Puranas and, different places in our Sanatan Dharma. And it seems that even in the Upanishad it is mentioned. It's Indra's weapon and its Thunderbolt is quite symbolic. And because you know that Indra Bhagwan is also god of rain. Thunder, rain, lightning, all of that together. So Thunderbolt. And this, most of you might know this story or some of you may not. But it seems that there used to be always fights between the Devatas and Asuras, and there was a Asur, Vrittasur करके एक असुर था और वो काफी गड़बड़ वगैरह करता था और एक बार उसने ना पानी को रोक दिया था, like वर्षा वगैरह को, something like that. So, and nobody could, obviously these Asurs also used to do lot of tapa and all that, and they get all kind of boons, and nobody could kill him, and then finally they find, hey, how you can kill? You need some very strong weapon to kill this guy. And to get this, to make this weapon, somebody's bones are required who have done a lot of tapas. There was a Sage Dhadhichi, and there is one place in India where that whole story is mentioned, and it is this place of Dhadhichi. Long time ago we had gone over there. Now somewhere in UP, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I remember. So anyway, this Dhadhichi, now how to approach him, Bones means he has to give up his body. To reach the bone, you gotta die, So वो डरते वरते पहुंचे उनके पास और जैसे ही उनको पता चला उन्होंने बोला कोई बात नहीं, I'll be happy to get it. Rishi, great. So उन्होंने अपनी योगाग्नि से अपना शरीर को, वो different stories है, but basically he gave up his life and he donated his bones to the devatas. उससे वज्र बनाया गया. So, and then they could kill. So that is the story. So it is very special, Vibhuti, obviously. And then there are a lot of different symbolism we'll see. And Vajra or Thunderbolt, Vajra का मीनिंग थंडरबोल्ट है. एक और भी मीनिंग है संस्कृत में, डायमंड. Diamond ko bhi Vajra bolte hain. So then why there are thunderbolt symbolism is that it's a symbolism of power. It's indestructible thing, Vajra, immensely powerful, unstoppable force. And diamond ka symbolism hai, again, indestructibility. We know that diamond is the hardest substance on the earth, So that also unstoppable, not unstoppable, sorry, spiritual firmness, That's the kind of symbolism. It's a little subtle symbolism that Atman is pure and unbreakable. Something like that we can kind of see. And then this looks like this Vajra is not only symbolic in Hinduism, but even Buddhism, Jainism and all that. They use it in some kind of rituals. They do some, जैसे कि बोलते हैं ना कि aid in ritualism, they have some Vajra, looks like. And they also have the same symbolism, purity, unbreakable and things like that. And then it was crafted by this divine artisan. His name was Twashta. I had not heard of this Twashta. I had heard of the other one. What's his name? Who is an architect? Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma is more famous, right? But there's another craftsman, divine craftsman, Twashta, and he's what he crafts tools, weapons, chariots, and all that. And they took the bone from Dhadhichi and then Twashta crafted it. So a lot of different things are there and the other subtle symbolism is that it is a power to destroy ignorance and evil. That's what it is. So, and the metaphor about Vajra is that just like Vajra can split rocks, because it's so powerful, it can, rocks, when they have a fight with Devatas and Asuras, I'm sure that it's a lot more difficult fight, So same way, the true knowledge can pierce through ignorance. Or it can break down delusion or illusion. That's what the symbolism is of this Vajra. And then another way you can look at it is a Vajra teaches us that truth is unbreakable. Truth will always be there, no matter what people try to do to it. So that's what it is. Or you can say spiritual realization cut through illusion, just like lightning pierces through the sky, because Thunderbolt, Vajra also means lightning, right? So that's what you can say that. So as though Krishna is telling Arjuna that his divine presence is there in the mightiest of weapons also, because he understands that language. And what do these weapons are used for? Protecting the dharma. That's the whole thing. And then another very interesting symbolism, it's a little bit subtle, but you will relate to it, that Vajra was created through sacrifice, of Dhadhichi. Dhadhichi sacrificed himself and gave his bone. So that's what it means, that the true spiritual force in us comes through sacrifice, renunciation, selflessness, and not through some kind of brute force, like in the modern language, showing your gun and, give me self-realization, not going to happen. Or I'm very strong physically, I can get it. No, nothing it has a renunciation, selflessness. So that's what it symbolizes, because it was created by that. And then few more symbolism. So this divine manifestation is in all aspects of existence. That's what Krishna is showing also. Even those associated with destruction and force, because this Vajra was used in a fight. So obviously it destroyed all the negative thing, but even there Krishna Bhagwan's glory is there, that was his saying. And so that means if the divine power, when rightly used, upholds dharma and truth, that's how we can look at it. And so in nutshell, it is a expression of strength, power, courage, and it's, Bhagwan's Vibhuti. So, and Krishna's role as a destroyer of adharma. That's what it is telling us. So that's what is Vajra. And then among cows, I am Kamdhenu. So what is Kamdhenu is? It's supposed to give whatever you wish. wish-fulfilling cow. Just like you have that tree, wish-fulfilling tree, same way wish-fulfilling cow. And there's another Sanskrit meaning. Kamdhenu means milked for desire, so that, hey, whatever desire you have, you can get it through that, fulfill your desire. So this also, Kamdhenu, we saw that it came out of churning of the ocean. It came out as a treasure, so it's called a divine celestial cow, And what is the symbolism behind it? Nourishment, abundance, maternal care, and fertility. Those are the 4 different things of symbolism, because abundance, it can give you whatever you want. Fulfillment of spiritual and material needs also, because to live we need some material things also, and this is a symbolic that it can fulfill. And when we come to Swamiji's commentary, he will bring some very important point, and we will see there something different. So then this cow was given to the rishis, and it stayed in sage or Rishi Vasisht's ashram, and it was providing everything needed for all the yagnas and all the good things, dharmic things that they did. So it was not used for, and then there was a whole story, I won't go into it, that Vishwamitra was a king, and when he saw that Kamdhenu, he said, "Oh, tumhare paas kya kar rahi hai ye?" When he was not a rishi yet, okay? "Tumhare paas kya kar rahi hai? Mujhe de do. I'm a king. I can use it for my thing." And he said he didn't want to give him because he knew that he will just use it for material thing. And then there was a fight between them. Ye wo bahut lambi कहानी है. और उससे प्रेरित होके विश्वामित्र जी ने भी ऋषि बन गए वो. So Kamdhenu is kind of a, reason that Vishwamitra ji also became a rishi. So that's another big story. I won't get into it. So focusing on Kamdhenu, that it symbolizes infinite giving nature, freely giving, because Krishna is a supreme being, Paramatma is a source of sustenance for the whole universe, and fulfillment of so many desires, so many things. So that's what it be. And अगर इंडिया में चले जाओ तो मंदिर में तो 95% लोग डिजायर फुलफिलमेंट के लिए जाते हैं. मुझे ये दे दो, मुझे वो दे दो, और भगवान सबको ब्लेस करते रहते हैं. So selfless nourishment. And then there are a few other symbolism that Kamdhenu represent divine feminine energy, grace and giving, nourishment that we already discussed, without discrimination, freely giving. Krishna's universal compassion is showing over here, and unconditional support and all that. And so this basically, Kamdhenu represents spiritual prosperity, not just merely physical wealth. Because people focus on the physical wealth, no. But like inner abundance, peace, contentment that rises from divine connection. So that's a little deeper, more subtle symbolism is there. And the metaphor of Kamdhenu is also that Atman within it is symbolizing that when you realize, remember we discussed that in that 3 Upanishads, other Upanishads, that what happens is when somebody who gets self-realized, they become desired less. Why? Because all their desires are fulfilled at once. So that is the deepest symbolism over here, that when you realize that Brahman, and you gain everything. So this is what, when you say Kamdhenu is like gives you everything, that's what the final thing is, okay? And then very interesting, Vajra and Kamdhenu, they are complementary forces. How? Vajra is a protection, and Kamdhenu is nourishment. So you need both in life. You need protection and you need nourishment. So I thought that was very interesting. And then one more aspect of it is that nourishment is emphasizing the sattvic nature of the divine manifestation. Purity, nourishment, selflessness, and things like that. Okay? So that's what Kamdhenu is. Symbolism. A lot of beautiful symbolism. And then comes God of love. Prajanachasmi Kandarpaha. So Kandarpa is like another name for Kamdev. And so we can call it, he's a Hindu god of love, attraction, and desire. Okay. And what is this Sanskrit meaning of Kandarpa? So uska two words, that kan and darpa. Kan means to shine, very pleasing or delightful shine. That's kan. And darpa means, actually, it can be taken negative, but here it is taken in a positive. Pride, जैसे कोई बहुत खूबसूरत होता है ना, तो उसका एक अलग ही प्राइड होता है उसमें. Pride of self-confidence and splendor, So that together, kan and darpa, kandarp, that's what it's called. One whose pride or splendor arises from charm, beauty, and desire. That's the meaning of this word. And then Krishna says, I am God of love among all things that are productive or reproductive. Because there is to continue this world, we need, to have children. And so prajanan, the word prajanan, he has used. Prajanan means that leads to praja ki utpatti, having children, reproduction. So he's saying, I am a desire for continuation of species. That's how the simple language we can say. That is my glory. Bhagwan, when it comes to, you will see when it comes to Vedanta, they are not shy about anything. And when we go to our Upanishad, that you will see, they are talking about that too. Yes, they were talking about every aspect of life. And sometime when you go to that Khajuraho, you will see. And the interesting thing is, once you go and learn about why they have it, you don't even feel like anything. It's just a part of life. And other people who they will do, or the foreigners, Indians ko koi farak nahi padta hai, because we say, hey, everything is part of life, So that's how it is. So that power that leads to continuation of life, that's what is coming from God itself. And that's what it is. And then, how Nikhilananji was saying, that power is all around in the nature, everywhere. And that is a glory of God. It's a continuation of every species, that how. And then, how do they symbolize this Kamdev? Kind of very interesting. You must have seen in some kind of, TV serials and all, they show sometime about Kamdev. He has this bow. He's looking very handsome and with a lot of tam jam flowers and all that. And his sugar cane bow. Sugar is sweet, So sugar cane bow ka to uska dhanush hai. और उसका जो string है ना, this is really crazy. Bees से बना हुआ है. Honey bees. Honey bee is the string. And उसके जो arrows है ना, दूसरों के होते हैं जो किसी को मार दे. ये वाला होता है flower के बने हुए हैं. And he always carries 5. मतलब जब मैंने ऋषि मुनि they do symbolism, their imagination is amazing. So what is his job? He stimulates desire in the beings that leads to, procreation or union. And the name of his consort or his wife is Rati. You must have heard of it, right? Rati and Kamdev. And Rati means pleasure. Means वो भी देखो कैसे साथ में लिया हुआ है उन्होंने. Desire and pleasure. His wife is pleasure. And we know in other civilization they have this similar thing, like in the Roman civilization, they call it Cupid. They say Cupid's arrow. So, so all the other people also have that similar thing. So Bhagwan says that basically he's saying that among those who cause generation or production, I am Kandarpa. I am that Kamdev. And what is a symbolism is kind of interesting symbolism, that usually desire is viewed as a distraction. We have seen, right? Desire means, you're getting away from God in spiritual life. But what Krishna shows over here, when the desire is directed by dharma, then it becomes creative, sacred, and necessary for continuation of life. That's what the interesting thing of the desire over here. So Kandarpa symbolizes here pure divine attraction that leads to creation and not indulgence, but creation. So it is showing that even love and longing, when aligned with divine will, are expression of God. And going back to, remember those when Brahmaji created all the Rishi Munis in the beginning and they said, oh, we are going to just meditate. He said, no, go get married and have children. So, because otherwise dunya kaise chalegi. So that's how we have to see it. So in nutshell, Krishna does not reject the world, but divinize it. That's the whole message over here. Okay, and so instead of repressing, sometimes what happens is that, oh, don't have any desire, don't do anything, then it leads to repression. But you can refine it and elevate it. That's what this Kandharp is all about. Okay, so not all desires need to be binding. Desire rooted in dharma is creative, life affirming, and even divine. So that's how we have to see. And then there's some more very interesting symbolism that it says that desire becomes bondage when directed outwardly, blindly. The blind desire, too much indulgent and all that, but it becomes a liberation when directed inward towards the self, Atman or Krishna. So that's what it is, that among, causes of procreation, divine desire is sacred love, and that's how we have to see it. So even the desire when dharmic is a manifestation of Krishna. So we don't need to reject the desires also, as long as it is. And then most of you may be knowing this story about from Shiv Puran, that how Kamdev had tried to awaken Shiva, because Shiva had gone in meditation, and he didn't want to get up from the meditation, and there was a whole big story going on outside. Another Asura was only going to be killed by Shiva if he marries Parvati and has a child. So all the devatas, they told Kamdev, go and wake up this शिव भगवान. सब बाकी लोग तो डर रहे थे, एंड इनको भी मालूम था अगर शिवा को क्रोध आ गया तो मैं तो गया. तो भी he went there because he had to do some good, for everybody. Everybody was getting, harassed by this demon. So he goes there and then he wakes up because he has the power. He's the god of love. So उसने अपने सारे एरो सारे वेपन्स छोड़ दिए उनके ऊपर. तो शिवा का भंग हो गया. जब उन्होंने देखा कि ये कामदेव आया तो उनको बहुत क्रोध आया, उसको भस्म कर दिया. That was the story. लेकिन फिर रति बहुत रोने वोने लगी और and then he kind of finally जब उनका थोड़ा शांत हुआ, उन्होंने रीजन बताया क्यों किया ये सब. Obviously he's God, he knows everything. लीला चल रही है. तो उन्होंने फिर बोला कि डोंट वरी, कामदेव इज नॉट, उसका शरीर भस्म हुआ है, कामदेव भस्म नहीं हुआ है. एंड देन ही इज गोइंग टू गेट अनदर शरीर when Krishna comes. Krishna's son, as he came as Krishna's son. That's a long story. But what the symbolism is, that desire, it's like you cannot completely destroy it. It stays a very subtle way it will stay. That's why you have to transform the desire. So that's why it's invisible. And so that's a little bit of symbolism. It's a little subtle and requires a little thinking, but I thought that was interesting symbolism. And that you cannot destroy a desire sometimes, but you can transform it. Okay? And then basically what the whole idea is, and I'll talk about that, how they do it in other bhakti yoga and tantra and all that they take this desire and transform into spiritual force, basically. That's what it is. So in bhakti tradition, what do they say? That when you have longing, for worldly things, take that longing and direct it towards God. Divine love, make it. And I think in Hare Krishna, they were talking about, sometimes they talk about, they say that what do people usually want? They want to eat good food, they want to dance, they want to sing, and they want lots of love, right? So he's saying that come to Hare Krishna, everything is directed towards Krishna. They chant and they dance and they give you the best food, and खूब सारा मिठाई विठाई सब देते. Come and direct it towards Bhagwan. So that's what is it. Take that. So this is the symbolism. And then in Tantra, in the Tantric people, the desire is neither rejected nor supported. Not supported. Nor rejected, not suppressed. Okay, but is transformed into an awakening power. You must have heard of the Kundalini Shakti, right? So it's at the base of your when you're what you call spine. It is at the base of the spine, and it is in everybody, And it is called, so there in tantric people, the Kandharp is called inner fire. That's what they call it. The symbolism is inner fire, creative energy, a fire of desire kind of thing. And at the base of the spine, it's a dormant. And then that is a seed of creation also. But when purified, it becomes a force that lifts the soul to the absolute. Because of that chakra, they take that Shakti and take it to the top of the head, So that's very interesting that they also have this symbolism of the Kamdev and all that. So when you just talk about calm or desire is for worldly pleasure, but through sadhana, some of this energy that we have of this worldly pleasure is sublimated into divine love. Prema, they call it. Okay, so the way it is that Kandharpa becomes a doorway, to first it's drawing the soul outwards, but then it inward. And it can be, Shiva or Shakti or Krishna, whichever, that same power can be used for spiritual thing. That's what it is. So in Tantric, what they call it, that it unites, that this Shakti unites with Shiva. Shiva और Shakti का जो मेल होता है ना, उससे पूरी दुनिया बनती है पूरा. So that's a symbolism, that pure awareness and this power gets united. And then seeker experiences non-dual bliss. That's a little subtle thing, but I thought it was very interesting. That is the symbolism. And then these, I think I already talked about the sugarcane bow means sweetness, and 5 flower arrow senses, I think I already talked about it. And B string, it's somehow they said distraction. That's the symbolism, And then when the Shiva burnt Kamdev, he actually did not completely destroy him. He only destroyed his ego ki death ki unhone. So that's a very big symbolism in all that lower form of desire, attachment was burnt, and not pure love was not burnt. That's why it still survived, so this is what it is. So in the final analysis, desire with dharmic and refined desire is expression of Krishna's divinity. Okay, that desire that leads to creation, beauty, and spiritual union. And that is, desire is not an obstacle to the path. Okay. So that's what we need to do. That if we have on the spiritual journey, purify and redirect our desire to our higher love. So that's what it is. Last one on this one is Vasuki. Okay? Vasuki is a serp. So it seems that Swamiji is going to talk about it. The difference between serp and naga. Because इस 28 में उन्होंने मैं सर्पों में वासुकी हूँ, और नेक्स्ट में बोलेंगे मैं नागों में अनंत नाग हूँ. Okay, so why is talking about twice? Because it said that naga means multi-hooded creature. Okay, and sarpa means single. Okay, so that's what sarp is. And sarp is ये जो वासुकी है ना, supposed to be king of the patal lok. In English, they call it netherworld. That's what this Vasuki is. And उसके जो माता पिता थे ना, वो भी कोई ऑर्डिनरी नहीं थे. नाग के भी माता पिता ऋषि मुनि ही थे भाई. उनका नाम कश्यप ऋषि और उनकी वाइफ कद्रू. Kadru gave birth to, this is a long story over there, that she had 1,000 eggs. All the fantastical type of, stories. And then Nagas, their second son was Vasuki. And then we know that in Samudra Manthan, Vasuki was used as a rope. Okay? And usually, otherwise he's coiled around Shiva's neck. Some places says it's on his finger, neck. Chalo, neck सोचते हम लोग कि जो एक मेन दिखाते हैं ना, जो एक सर्प उनके नेक के चारों ओर है, वो है वासुकी. Okay, so what does it symbolizes when it's around Shiva? That it symbolizes ego controlled by knowledge and austerity. That's what it symbolizes when it is around the neck. And then we know the famous example of rope and snake. right? We must have used it 1,000 times since last 5, 6, 7 years, whatever we are doing the class. So this naga, or not this particular, not naga, this sarpa, it represents avidya, mistake. What is a mistake? That we know that the rope is lying and I think it's a snake. So that kind of mistake it represents. Symbolism we are looking at now about this. Illusion or delusion, and it kind of makes us think, yes, Brahman is the only reality. So that's what it is. So then other symbolism, Vasuki under control or coiled around Shiva's neck can be seen as ignorance subdued by knowledge. So with knowledge, all the ignorance is gone. And then another one with the Kundalini Shakti also, we know that it's called the snake, Kundali maar ke baithiye wo Shakti, just like a snake. Okay, that's why it's called Kundalini. Hindi mein bolte na Kundali maar ke wo sarp baitha tha. So that is, it is this Kundalini or Prana Shakti is under the mastery of self-realization. That's what that we take this Shakti and we control it by this higher spiritual knowledge. And then another very important symbolism is why Krishna Bhagavan said that I'm Vasuki. Because Vasuki endured pain for the sake of cosmic evolution. Churning of it was not easy. तुमको ऐसे उसको लेके ऐसे घुमाया जो, I told you, he felt nauseated and he threw out the wish, halal, So the poor guy did some suffering. उसको काफी खींचा गया था. So one who served dharma, cooperates in divine work, and helps manifest, kind of immortality. क्या हुआ वो उसको चर्ण करने से अमृत निकला बाहर. Immortality. He's helping to manifest that immortality. That is a vibhuti. It was such a beautiful symbolism. So he's saying that even serpent-like forces of nature, or in the mind we have, whatever, some kind of negative thing, that they are not separate from Brahman. They can also contribute towards moksha if done correctly. So that's what it is. Everything is a Bhagwan's vibhuti. And then going back to this Kundalini Shakti, इसमें भी दोनों में symbolism है उसका. Even कंदर्प में भी कुंडलिनी का है और इसमें भी है, सर्प में भी है. Because just like Vasuki was used for churning of the ocean, Kundalini is used to awaken and raise the inner consciousness to bring it to realization. So they beautifully kind of blend together about this Kundalini Shakti in both the symbolism. And what does halahal symbolizes? Because he threw that out, the negativity, fear, ego that rise while churning the ocean. It's that in our mind, when we are churning good thought, bad thoughts, and we are trying to raise our consciousness to higher, we are doing this inner work, they call it. Okay, even when we sit for meditation in the beginning, we have talked about it, that how all the negative things starts coming up surface and people get scared, some people start crying, some people, all the trauma, everything start coming out. So he's saying that all that is wish coming out. So the yogi must transcend it through inner discipline, not get kind of burnt with that wish, but learn to, we have talked about it, this Shiva symbolism, that neither he drank it nor he threw it out, he dissolved it in his neck. So all that kind of fits together. So I think that when we go to the symbolism, there are a lot of beautiful things come out of these verses. Any question or comment about this 4 great vibhutis? Because if you just read it like that, okay, then it's not fun, right? When you go deeper into it, then thoda maza aata hai usme. Any volunteers to read? Anil ji?
Among weapons, I am the Thunderbolt. Among cows, I am Kamdhenu. I am Kamdev, the cause of offsprings. Among serpents, I am Vasuki. Of weapons, I am the Thunderbolt. The weapon called Vajra is an item in the divine artillery which can never be shattered. The Vedic legend explains how a great seer, Dhadhichi, volunteered his own rib bone for the construction of this secret weapon to annihilate a demon who was challenging to shatter the peace of the heavens. Should I keep on reading or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we know I told you about this, right? It's a divine thing, and Dhadhichi की story मैंने बता दी, and Vitrasur नीचे उन्होंने बताया. Yeah, you can continue reading.
Of the cows, I am Kamdhuk, this strange animal called Kamdhuk, from out of which we can milk all our desires, whatever they may be. Kamdhuk is also one of the early byproducts that rose up during the churning of the Milky Ocean.
Yeah. So like we had discussed, that it came out of Milky Oceans, and it means to milk all our desire or fulfill. And then this symbolism is very interesting. The bottom, with the double star, you have that, right? Subjectively, it seems.
Yes, subjectively it seems that it is nothing other than Sankalp Shakti that will automatically arouse in an individual as he increases his powers of concentration and progresses in his inward integration.
So what that means is that when in chapter 3, Bhagwan has explained very well this whole concept, that when we say that the productivity is there in the world, it increases. If I want something, I have to work towards it, right? And if I integrate my personality, I get all these extra energy that I put it towards acquiring that object, and then it also has a lot of yagna spirit. Lot of things are in there. It's like if you go to, say, Silicon Valley, why did it become so famous? ऐसे ही थोड़ी हो गया. The potential was there, but all these people worked very hard. So much brain was behind it, hard work and all that. Then something great comes out and the whole world benefits, right? It's like milking the desire, something like that. So it is our own Sankalp Shakti that creates this fulfillment of desire. हमारे में ही है वो शक्ति. And how does it happen? With the concentration से होता है ये. Powers of concentration, and it progresses, inward integration. When I have a personality that is integrated personality, and with power of concentration, I can milk things out of this universe for my desire. So that is a Kamdhenu represents. I thought that was very interesting what he said.
Of all the causes of offspring, I am Kamdev, the Cupid, the god of love of the Indian concept, is thought of as a mischievous boy, chubby and lively, ever carrying with himself his bow of a smile, with 5 flower-tipped arrows, each meant to smother one sense organ. The suggestion is a biological truth. Procreation is not merely an animal act of insemination or a vegetable act of cross-pollination, but it is, according to the science of sex, Kam Shastra, in India, a fulfillment of all passionate urges that expresses themselves through all the sense organs. A philosopher is a perfect scientist, and as such, he has none of the false shyness which is generally expressed by the immoral people when they pose themselves like sandal-coated Puritans. Vedantis and teachers, when they talk of sex life, are as much brutally open as the professors are in a medical college.
Swamiji said it all. He basically, in those days, the Rishi Muni and the scientists, they are the same people over there. Rishi Munis were the scientists, okay? So they are not, and it is part of nature. They will openly discuss it. And there are 3 stars at the back. And I was going to do Aittiriya Upanishad, so everybody get ready, because looks like there is going to be some more stuff in Aittiriya. So this is a preview, keep your shyness away and be brutally honest over here, because it said there is an open and clear talk which is typical of Upanishads, because they also talk about all these things in Aittiriya Upanishad. So that's what it's saying.
Of all the causes of the offspring, the Lord declares, I am the Cupid, who is himself, as the Lord of love, represents in the field of sensuality the total satisfaction of the physical, mental, and intellectual sheaths in man.
So Krishna Bhagwan did not leave any stone unturned for yeah. There's more.
Of the snakes, I am Vasuki. Vasuki is a serpent described in our mythology as ever living on Shiva's ring finger as an adornment. Though so small as to become a ring on the finger of the Lord, it was this Vasuki who volunteered himself to serve as a rope in the churning process of the Milky Ocean. This naturally reminds one of the declarations of the Upanishads that it is at once the minutest of the minute and the greatest of the great. Naturally, it is very apt that the Lord declares himself to be Vasuki among the snakes. The term serp is to be rightly understood in contrast with the Nagas mentioned in the next stanza. Serpas means single hood, while Nagas are multi-hooded.
Yeah. So we saw that the whole thing that, and here Swamiji took another angle about Vasuki, that if we assume that it was Shiva's on a ring finger, then it's very small, but it has a potential to become very large. It's like, I was thinking of Hanumanji. Hanumanji had that power to become very small. And then when Sita Mata was like, hey, you are like small, and how you can, he made himself very big. And then I'm reading Ramayana right now, वाल्मीकि रामायण, and उसमें उन्होंने जब बताया कि जो उन्होंने छलांग लगाई थी ना इधर से उधर जाने के लिए और उधर से इधर आने के लिए, बाप रे, उसका डिस्क्रिप्शन इज जस्ट लाइक, दे सेड कि जब वो पहाड़ के ऊपर चढ़ गए और उन्होंने अपना शरीर एकदम विशाल बना दिया, और जब उन्होंने छलांग लगाई ना तो पूरा पहाड़ ही टूट गया. I tell you, the way, unbelievable, like a poetry, the whole thing. I can't even describe everything in English also, because सारे जीव जंतु सब हिल गए और पक्षी इधर उधर उड़ने लगे और ये वो, मतलब he had the power to make his body. और उन्होंने मतलब imagine, और वो जब छलांग लगाए ना तो वो जो पर्वत था वो नीचे धंस गया. पावर भी तो चाहिए पूरा कूदने के लिए इतना, मतलब पूरा ऐसा साइंस दिखाया उसमें कि imagine some kind of a big machinery, it's like boom, it just went flying, some kind of, it's just incredible, the whole thing. So
that reminds me of Hanuman. जब उनको जड़ी बूटी नहीं मिली तो पूरा
पहाड़ ही उठा के ले आए. Exactly. So because now that we know that he had the power to make himself so big, so how can somebody pick up a पहाड़, या पहाड़ को तोड़ भी सकते हैं, पहाड़ को ये भी कर सकते हैं, I mean, just incredible, the whole thing. So we have a hard time imagining these things, but with this new weaponry and all that, all those things that we read in Mahabharata coming true, guided missile, and we just sitting over here, you can do this, or these days, like we just got a new TV, okay, because the old one had become like 8-10 years old, and it was not communicating well with the internet and all that, and we were getting really frustrated. So this new TV, you can say and you can get your program. I'm sure some of you have it. For me, it was like, पहले बोलते थे ना, ओ बैठे बैठे उसने ऐसा सोचा और वो हो गया, तो धीरे से कुछ बोलो. And these days, all these devices like Google and all that, कि अगर वो, sometimes it just start talking to you because it thinks that it's talking to you, must have said something, and it feels like it's so sensitive. That's what I'm trying to say. So now it is not surprising that they had the technology, or even more advanced and all that. And I have this habit of watching all these crazy shows on TV, where there's all the great technology and all, and they think that there are places on Earth which is like a doorway to another dimension. This might sound really crazy, but modern science believes that now. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I was just thinking, in Mahabharata time, Arjuna was going to Swargaloka, as though it is like going to Hawaii or something, Bye, I'm going to Swargaloka. Then he goes and then he gets his weapons. He meets with his father Indra, and Urvashi fell in love with him. Whatever, all those hangama happened, and he comes back. Right? So they say there are like Kailash Parvat is one of them. That's why nobody can go there. No plane can fly over it. That's a fact. That no plane can fly over it. Nobody has been able to climb it because they get totally disoriented. The compass doesn't work over there because the field is different. So whatever they were saying, and some phenomena is still they are discovering. The science is discovering it does exist. So that's what it is. That very interesting, the whole thing. Anyway.
Umaji, Umaji, when you talked about Kandarpa, one time I had asked somebody that why are we born, and his answer was that to procreate. Okay, that was his only. He said that's the only reason, and I always wondered, no, it can't be just. But this explains that Brahma also wanted us just.
Yes, because if you want the whole thing to continue, then you need this thing. And when we go to, I don't know the detail of Three Upanishads we are going to study together, but I was just like glancing through it, and it tells you that, when you have a child, it's your another birth. Something like that, Howard explained. It's a continuity, And you can, that's why you can see the similarity. That's why we get so enamored by our children and then grandchildren. All of us, most of us have grandchildren now. So we know, how much, because we see ourselves. Like my second grandson, his ear shape is just like mine. His complexion is different. Everything is different, but his ear is like mine. So, that's my ear, you feel something, So that's what it is, that all of us have that desire of continuation because we are eternal people ourselves. So this is another way, Yeah. Very interesting the way the Rishi Munis look at everything, They look at everything from the divine perspective, divine reason, And that makes us feel happy that, how to see God in everything. The things that we think were taboo also is, hey, God is there. And when we come to today's verse of Taittiriya, you will see that what they're going to talk about, very openly they're going to talk about. So, yeah. Any other comment?
The connecting line.
Yeah.
Continuing in the same tune, the singer divine sings of his own songful glory.
So it's going to continue. I think that it is, it's really very poetic and beautiful. And especially when you get this to symbolism, so many things open up. That why Krishna Bhagwan said what he said. He didn't say it just like that. A lot of things are in it when he said it. Everything. Any other question, comment about this? Okay. Then I will close Bhagavad Gita here. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhya moksha ishyami ma shuchaha. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.